So it's known as Ain El Sira Lake, and it's a sulfate. People were using it back in the days to treat themselves from disease such as rheumatic disease. But now we got hospitals, so they don't use the lake anymore. And it's natural, it became like this because of the flow of underground. And no one used the lake anymore because it's protected. And before the renovation of the museum, that lake was a mess. The people live around here in Old Cairo, they were using it, and also they were throwing the garbage on the bank of the lake, so it was completely a mess. But now after the renovation of the museum, they cleaned the part of the lake as well, and they protect it so no one can get close from the lake. But the only part you can get close at the end of that rain. Or I'm gonna show you the most important items, and then I'm gonna give you free time so you can go around and also to see also the royal mummies. So down there, it's the way you go into the royal mummies room, and yeah, you will see it after we finish up here.
Royal Mummies room down there.
So the first thing we are going to see in that museum is an ancient skeleton. It has an age of 35,000 years old. I believe it belongs to the Stone Age. And it's known as Nazlet Khater human, and we found it in an area known as Nazlet Khater, which is a city known as Suhaj nowadays, which is like 400 kilometers to the south of Cairo. It's real skeleton, and also if you look at his spine looks like bended. That means he used to carry heavy items, so probably he used to carry like heavy stones, which means he used to work in the mine so he can survive. Also, we found those items that made by stone nearby him, which the item he were using during his life, so he can survive for hunting or animals, so he can make food like that. Also, you can see the thing looks like a knife, so he can make the food. Ancient Egyptian agriculture. The agriculture for ancient Egyptian people was very important, and they start using the primitive tools that made by wood, such as the axes, wooden axes, like you can see over there. See, there's 3 different axes, and they made by wood. Also, the sickle. That thing here, that known as a sickle, that to cut the grass, and it's made by wood also. But how wood gonna cut the grass? If you look closely, you're gonna see there's a stones attached with it, and it's sharp, so it can easily cut the grass. And then they collected the seeds, they collected the weight, and they stored it in jars like this. And that big thing is like an oven to make the bread. And the ancient Egyptian people were using the wheat to make the bread. But the way to make it, you have to grind the wheat first. And the way you grind it, the way to grind the wheat, you have to make your back flat, your knees on the floor, and you start to grind. And in that time, it doesn't matter who make the job. Women and men can do the same job. We have maquettes over there. There's a woman and a man. They are grinding the wheat on a pallet. You see how they are grinding? But the most important thing, if you can look closely, you can see the position. The back is flat, the knees on the floor, and they grind on a pallet. And then they make the bread. You can see loaves of the bread over there in different shape, like round one and long one, flat one. That is the bread. And one stick here that has like legs in the middle, that to make fire. They put like a holder and with a stick they wrap it to make the fire. And the rest of the mapping is just to show you the life of the ancient Egyptian people, or the basics in that time, how they are baking the bread. That is the life key. It's known as Ankh or Ankh. That is in hieroglyphic word. And the life key symbol for longer life. The pillar shed is a pillar for stability. You see the thing that beside the live key, the yellow one, that is the flame, and the blue one over there, that is the he folded his arms like that on the chest, and it symbolizes for eternity and ability of ruling a company. So these are the royal insignia. Each card he uses it based on the occasion. He don't use all of it at the same time. It depends on the occasion. So some occasions he use the live key, some occasions he used the khayl al nafaq, and some occasions he used the pillar jet. We have the protected goddess, such as
Protected protective goddess.
yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Such as the vulture, the cobra, that is Isis, and the cow, Hathor. So the vulture is a god for Upper Egypt, and the cobra is the god of Lower Egypt. Goddess Isis, she is a protection for the sarcophagus, and the cow Hathor, she is a goddess for motherhood and love. Because the ancient Egyptian people, they consider the cow is like a mother because she has ability to produce milk like mother. So they took it as a goddess for motherhood. Same thing like in India. In India, they believe the cow is the mother. Right?
Yeah.
The same thing the ancient Egyptian people were doing back in the days. And that was an eagle bird. He has ability to find the worms that are buried underground. And because the ancient Egyptian people have seen that, they took it as a god. They took that bird as a god. Behind him, we see that statue, that is the scribe, which is the writer of the papyrus. And he used to use tools like a brush. You see on the left side of the bird, there is like two brush tools. That to use it for writings on the paper. And here, these bricks to mix the color, and using those bricks to extract the color. So that's how you bring the color. Princess, her name is Hatshepsut II. She was a princess during the 15th dynasty, which is 15th family, during the Middle Kingdom. The purpose of that tent to purge and clean the mummified, to clean the body before the mummification procedure. And if you look at the tent, it's completely made by wood, but laid by goat skin. That is a goat skin we are looking at. And the tent is made by two colors, only two colors, red and green. Why the ancient Egyptian people they made it using these two colors only? Because they believe that red and green are colors that represented paradise.
Paradise. Okay.
Also, if you look inside the tent, you're going to see the sarcophagus of the prince hieroglyphics, and in the middle here, the cartoon symbol that has the name of the king, and then the remain of his titles. Like a layer to protect the mummified body. So the mummified body, after they finish the mummification, they store it in a coffin. And that coffin, they put it inside that sarcophagus. And if you look at the background of the sarcophagus, you're going to see there is a lady standing with human appearance, flanging her wings. That she's a goddess Isis, going to right there. She's protecting the sarcophagus. Also, you're gonna see different boxes inside the tent. There is like 3 different boxes. One box over there, which is red and white, and it has the shape of Anubis, the black jackal. That is a box that stores the internal organs, the 4 jars. You remember after they take the internal organs from the body, such as intestines, liver, kidney, and the brain, they put it in 4 jars. These 4 jars is inside that box over there. And the other 2 black boxes is for her jewelry. She is a princess. She had the jewelry, and the ancient Egyptian people believe they are going to use the same items in the afterlife. So they store the items she were using in the same place where she is buried, so she can use it in the afterlife. He was the general army, and he was a pharaoh during the 18th dynasty, which means the new king. If you look at the statue, it's made by black granite. Black granite is very important for ancient Egyptian people, more than gold and more than gray granite. Okay, so black granite come in the first. So when they do a statue using the black granite, that means he's an important person, and that's right. He was a pharaoh. Besides that, he was one of the general army during his time. How I figure out his name? How we figure out his name? Do you have any clue?
No.
If you look at the belt side, you're going to see there is a small symbol in the middle of the belt. You remember I told you about it in the temple in the pyramids area, the cartouche.
Yeah,
so that is the cartouche that contains his name. If you'd like to see that cartouche as a bigger one, behind the statue, you're going to see the title and a bigger cartouche. His name is Amenemhat III. So why that speaks here, he has a name? Because we have the cartouche below his false beard. But the one in Giza Plateau, we don't have anything like that. So the one in Giza Plateau, we keep calling it the Sphinx, which is the same name given by the Greeks. So the Sphinx grew just to describe the creature, body of a lion and head of human. So that one here, we call it the Sphinx of Amenemhat III, because Amenemhat III, that is the name of the pharaoh. But the word Sphinx, that is the meaning of the creature. But the art here, which is the Sphinx they used to do in the New Kingdom, they made the art more different than the one we have seen in Giza Plateau. Because the Sphinx in Giza Plateau made during the Old Kingdom, during the first dynasty. That one here made during the New Kingdom. So they made different art. 90% of the art of the creature or the art, it's made by like lion features. 90% lion body, as you can see, it's seated body of a lion. The beard, like lion's beard. The ears, like lion ears, except the human feature on the face, which is the nose, the mouth, and the eyes. But the one in Giza Plateau, it was 50-50. 50% lion body, 50% human appearance.
Yeah, his nose is also broken.
Unfortunately, most of the statues you're gonna see is that statue. Atin. Therefore, his name became Atin, which means lives in Atin. But if you look at his statue, it looks like a woman.
Yeah.
Actually, he's a man, but he had no difference between women and men at that time. So he made an art known as art to combine the men and the feminine features together. And as you can see, the statue is a mix with the man and woman together, which means like longer face, the cheek, the big belly, the breast, and he folded his arms and he using the two royal insignia, which is the thing we have seen over there for the eternity and ability of ruling the country. After that, his son ruling the country, which is King Tut, the boy king, and he returned back the name of the king, of the god, from Atin to become, as it's usually, Amun. So that's why his name is Tut and Amun, which lives in Amun. Here we have a chariot. The chariot used for the wars, being the enemies. And the chariot here, that one made by wood and laid by gold, because that is a royal chariot for the pharaoh by himself. If you come closer by the chariot, you're gonna see a picture, or you're gonna see the art. You can see here is the pharaoh, so the chariot, and he using a weapon like a bow, and he killing the enemies. Also the cartouche here that identify his name. So it has the same symbols as the statue we have seen over there for Thutmose III. So that is a chariot belongs to Thutmose, the general army and the pharaoh at that time during the New Kingdom. And in front of the chariot, you can see there is three people. These are the captive, which mean like captured enemies in that time. And if you look at their hands, they are behind their back, and it's cuffed like the like cuffs.
Yeah.
People, the Greeks came to Egypt, and the Greeks when they came by Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great, when he came to Egypt, he found Egypt under control by the Persian. So he supported the ancient Egyptian people to take out the Persian, and they declare Alexander the Great as a pharaoh, as a king at that time. So Alexander the Great, he was the first Greek pharaoh in that time, which means in 200 BC before Christ. And then he traveled to the north of Cairo, a land surrounded by the Mediterranean Sea, and he gave it the name Alexandria, which is a city
Right.
known as today Alexandria city, and it's a beautiful city surrounded by the Mediterranean Sea, and he took it as the capital city in that time until the Roman came to Egypt in 480 AD. So after the Roman came to Egypt, the Muslim people came after that in 642 AD by the leader Amr ibn al-As. So since that time until today, Egypt considered as Islamic country. And the Muslim people, when they came to Egypt, they shared the Arabic language, which is the spoken language nowadays, and they share the Islamic religion as well. So here in Egypt, we have a mix of the religion, Muslim and Christian. Muslim here, they follow Sunni, and the Christian here, the majority are Orthodox. So we are going to continue the tour in the museum, and we are going to see a Roman art started by the god Nilus. God Nilus is a god for the Nile River during the Roman people. Because the Roman people, when they came to Egypt, they found the gods of the ancient Egyptian people are fancy. So they made a combination, or they made a combine with the Egyptian gods and the Roman god. So they create another god known as God Nilus, which is a god for the Nile River. If you look here on the right side, that is the statue for God Nilus during the Roman Empire. Unfortunately, the statue got critical damage. As you can see, his head is not there anymore.
Yeah.
The left arm is broken and part of the right arm. And you can see him sitting on a throne, and you can see the ancient Roman language on the throne here. And also the statue designed by two pillars, like Roman temple.
What is the language? Wait कर रहे पहले कब पहले?
हाँ.
During that time. So how they figure out the value? Based on the size of the coin. Smaller size, lower value. Bigger size, higher value. And it's not perfect. It's not rounded, like perfectly rounded, because they didn't use machines at that time. So that's why we have that. And here are all the papyrus that used by the ancient Egyptian people. But here, those papyrus used by Zenon. Zenon, that was a supervisor of finance during the Ptolemaic era, which is after the Greek people and after the ancient Egyptian people, and between the, like before the Muslim people. So he was using the papyrus that made by the ancient Egyptian people, the plans to make it on the paper, so he can use it and write on it to write the statistics of the finance in that time. That's why we call it papyrus of Zenon. Here we have the first golden coffin for a priest, because in that time they didn't use a golden coffin for the priests. It was regular coffin made just by wood. But that was the first golden coffin for a priest. His name is Nejemon, and he was during the Ptolemaic era. So since that part, they start making golden coffin for the priests after like 2 words. So that was the first one that made by wood, laid by a layer of gold, as you can see, yeah, for the priest. And also you can see his face, it gives you feeling he's still alive. And he put the Bible on it, so it can make it easy for him to read from the Bible during the minutes. So that is an old Bible. It's written in 2 different languages. And then we have the Coptic art. So after, like during the Roman people, we have the Coptics as well. One of the famous soldiers in that time, Saint George, he was a Roman soldier during the Roman Empire here in Egypt. And because the Roman Empire, they made persecution against the Christians at that time, and he found there's a soldier in his army following the Christian religion. So instead of cutting his head entirely, he started to make punishment tools against him first. So he used punishment tools such as like a wheel that has like nails to run on his body. But then they put him in a jail. But in the second day he got healed like a miracle. Like nothing happened to him. So he started another punishment tool against him. Eventually, like every time they put him in a jail and he got healed, eventually he ordered to cut his head. So he became a martyr, Saint George. So we have here 2 doors from ancient churches. The difference between each one is the evolution of the art at that time, like regular cross and more fancy cross. And also we have here a robe, like a dress they were using for the priest in the church. We're still using something like this in the churches, but not like that typically. It just has like slightly difference. And behind it you can see the lantern to make the steam inside the church during the mass. Dedicated to adjust the light system inside the Muslim architectures such as mosques or Muslim houses. So the mosque area, it doesn't adjust the light system by electricity, but the sun rays. So when the sun rays go through those holes, it gives a good shape inside the architecture. That is the reason they call it mashrabiyah, or also known as the prayer boxes. Those are boxes to store the Torah. The Torah is the holy book for Jewish people. And you can see here are the roll of the Torah that used to be stored in that box here. And it's written in Hebrew, which is the language for the Jewish people.
Okay.
Muslim architecture inside the mosques, only used by the sheikh or imam. He can go up there and he make the speech for the Muslim people. And usually they use it every Friday for Jum'ah, the Friday prayer. Even here in Egypt. Not in the museum, in the mosques.
Yeah, mom.
That is a door. Those are like vases made by ceramic. Ceramic vessels. On each side, which using the Mamluks font. Mamluks, that was like an empire during the Turkish Empire here in Egypt in 1800.
Box of the Holy Quran.
Yeah. Yeah, it's real one. That was the last one we made it here in Egypt because we used to make it here in Egypt and we send it to Saudi Arabia. And during they do that, we use that thing behind you, that known as mahmal. You see the thing behind you here? That known as mahmal. Mahmal means carrier. So it used to carry the kiswa or the covering.
Kiswa, yeah.
So
or
this
the
was the
covering.
only
Yeah.
That for carrying, that for covering, carrying
the kiswa. Yeah.
And the people they move from Egypt to Saudi Arabia to replace it with the old one every year. But after that, like that was the last piece. We made it here in Egypt during the reign of Gamal Abdel Nasser, Egypt in 1950. And now
1950.
Now Saudi Arabia they make it by hand, and they replace it by themselves every year. Four different women. They are Egyptians, but the difference between each one is the region. And to show us how was the women back in the time, like 100 years ago, how they used to dress up. The one on the right side, she is from Cairo. Next to her, from Alexandria. The one next to her, Nubian, which is from Aswan. And the one on the left side from Oasis. Like see Oasis, like the desert, white desert, like that. So that's how the women used to dress up back in the days, like probably like 100 years ago. Also including the jewelry they were using, such as necklace, bracelet, rings, that made by gold, but that is not a pure gold. That is just a replica, that high copy.